Hey everybody, it's Darrell with the weekly Back 40 broadcast, always bringing you a nugget or a nudge to support you in creating your second half of life as your best half. And if you're here live, cool, say hello. Go to the bottom, underneath, in the comment section, say hello, tell me your name, throw me a heart, send some love. And if you're seeing this later on the replay, you can still make comments below because I'd like to really engage with you, those who are live today, as well as those who will see this later, because we can keep the conversation going in this venue on what we want to talk about today. And the topic today, hey, Alexandra Levin, my biggest fan who's always here. And again, come say hi. What I want to talk about today is this idea of starting over. I wrote my my weekly blog today about that. I'm going to actually put that up on the screen there so you can go check that out later, bit.ly/bfblog12. And so this idea of starting over, I actually wrote the blog. It says the art of the start over, because we always hear of the art of the start and everything that's involved in the start. And yet this phrase, start over, it's kind of like there's this stigma around this phrase. I mean, if you actually look at it, and if you're joining me here, I'd love to ask you the question. If you look in your life, how many times have you actually used the phrase start over or starting over or I'm starting over? It's like when I was looking at it this morning, there might be, I don't know, maybe 4 times. And I was thinking, it's interesting that there's this kind of stigma around that phrase that it means if you're starting over, then something didn't work, or, you tried something and it failed, or this big era of your life is now kaput and rising from the ashes, or, hit rock bottom. And I thought, it might be really empowering. I was thinking about it for myself because we just went through some big stuff here in the work that we do. And, I had this idea that, okay, well, we're starting over, being able to focus now on certain things that we weren't able to focus on because we were focused on a big project for like the last year. And I thought, wow, wouldn't that be interesting if we could have starting over be just kind of like a way of life rather than this thing that we do only when we're gasping for air, about to go under. And so I really started looking at this. And so again, if you're joining here live or on the replay, jump in and, how many times have you started over? How many times have you used the phrase? And, if we really look at it, there's this book I read years ago called Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. And this idea that, well, what if we approached everything with beginner's mind? Now, look, there are times in life, and especially as we engage in the Back 40, our community and our work is really all about creating the second half of life as the best half of life. We say that the first half was just R&D, research and development for who we really came here to be and what we really came here to do. So, when you're moving into the second half, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, there's going to be things that happen, especially around midlife. There's things that happen. It can be a divorce. It can be a major career change. It can, not just a job loss, but a major shift. It can be big health issues. It can be the loss of a loved one. So there are specific times when we are going to be starting over. And yet, what if beyond that? What if there's even everyday processes and practices and, projects that are going on, but that we could approach it from starting over? What if every day gave us a new opportunity to look at things newly, as opposed to the fixed idea that we can get when something's already going or something's already in play. That's probably why there's certain organizations out there that are, focused on continual improvement, ongoing, rather than just trusting that even the things that are already moving, it's all done. What if starting over? And so we actually, I have 4 elements that I want to offer you today around starting over. And I also want to introduce our new online program, which is really about starting over. We created an online program called a Back 40 Renew All, because here in the Back 40, we say that you have yet to do what you came here to do. That's the whole idea behind, like, what if the first half was just R&D? Society, to a great deal, tells us that we accomplish all the big stuff, and we get into our 40s, 50s, we're supposed to be looking towards retirement, and then pretty much life and our contributions and our ingenuity and our activity and all of that starts to decline. Our health, all of that. We're just saying all that's BS. Here in the Back 40, we say that's BS. That's just a belief system. And what if you have yet to do what you came here to do? What if you don't hit your big play or make your biggest contribution until you're 70 or 80? There's people that I've interviewed and that are part of this community that are doing big things at 80. And so, what that's going to require as we move into 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s is another mindset than the standard one that says we know who we are, we know how life is, we know what we're capable of and all that. In other words, if we're going to accomplish our big play yet to come, no matter what we've already accomplished, it's going to require us learning more, taking bigger risks, getting out and playing, when the tendency as we get older is to avoid risk and to stay in our comfort zones. So here's the thing. If that's the way we're going, it's going to mean a lot of transitions. It means accepting and inviting and taking on change. So continual growth is pretty much, if you're committed to continual growth and expansion, it's going to pretty much invite continual change. And continual change is going to continually invite constantly going through transition. And so what's really important is to have a strategy for transition. So I have a few elements here that I want to offer you about starting over. And then I also want to just put up on the screen here, which isn't working right now for some reason. Oh, there it goes. Put up on the screen here where you can check out our new program, which is all about learning to powerfully transition, not just with the big things that life's going to offer us, like the career changes, which this program obviously helps with that as well, with the relationship changes, with the health issues, or kind of any of the big blows, that life seems to offer us. Yes, you want to be knowing those are going to come and have a set strategy in place. But it's also about how do you invite transition, like make change your friend so that you do get to be who you came here to be and get to do what you came here to do. So the first element in our Back 40 Renew All program that we go over is this whole idea of transition. And rather than avoiding it, having it be the redheaded stepchild, avoiding getting outside the comfort zone, it's learning to expect transition, invite transition, and have a concept of what's involved in transition. I actually go over a very detailed description of what I call the trough of transition. In the work I've done with people in their careers for the last 30 years, careers specifically, I've told them if you don't have an ongoing career management plan, if you don't have an ongoing career management strategy, then you're just always going to be, getting hit over the head with the unexpected and having to scramble. So what's always better around career is having a lifetime career management strategy, something that allows you to be powerful in expecting the unexpected. Well, the same thing goes for all the other things that life will deal to us. Being able to have a strategy that's ready to pull out at any time, and a strategy that actually leaves you bigger, leaves you more empowered on the other side, not just getting through a transition, but what if these transitions that life gives us is actually an opportunity to get bigger? And again, if you want to play bigger, you're even going to want to invite some major transitions. Yes, so number one is transition and a new way of relating to transition. Second element is blessings. One of the things we go over in the Back 40 Renew All program is this idea that, behind and beneath and underneath and back of everything that occurs to us, there are amazing blessings that are for the most part unseen. Now, there's not a person watching, this right now that can't look back and see some major thing that happened in life that didn't leave you with greater understanding, more personal improvement, greater skills, greater awareness. There's some way that all of us have benefited. The thing is that we're in the muck of it. We're not looking at that. So one of the things in the Back 40 Renew All program is I point out how we can immediately, if we immediately start to look for what's on the other side of this, then it actually starts to move us through this trough of transition that I just mentioned. It starts to move us powerfully. We can't escape the trough of transitions, and we want to go through them because it's part of our growth. And yet, when we can focus on the blessings, even as if we were years after the thing that occurred, and start to see them now, it actually starts to pull us. The third element in starting over is curiosity. So again, as I said, there's not a person watching this who can't look back and see all of the new skills and understandings and awareness and the even better person that they've become out of certain things that have occurred in life, whether it be that unwanted, layoff, whether it be that unwanted dump off when, our wife or our husband or our loved one left us. The point being is that what transitions open up is another playing field. It opens up new avenues because it's going to break us out of our comfort zone. It's going to break us out of the staid, typical, normal way that we've been living life. And, we all have a pull for normal and the comfort zone. And yet, if we have yet to do what we came here to do, we want to be breaking normal. You remember the series Breaking Bad? We want to be breaking normal, taking risks, and, learning to be curious and go into new territories, because there's so many new territories that transitions open up for us. And then the fourth element is play. And in the Back 40 Renew All program, we really talk about how as we move into our second half, our ability to play first. In other words, we as we get older, we want to know that it's all going to work out ahead of time. We want to know that, we're guaranteed success. We want to know that, we won't fail or look bad. And so we don't play. We don't operate like 20-year-olds who are just out in the world, giving it all a shot because they haven't learned to be afraid of looking bad. They haven't learned to be concerned, as to whether they fail. I heard a great thing the other day, and I don't think there is anything like failure, but I heard a great phrase. We've all heard crash and burn. Well, what if we crash and learn? You know, what if we give ourselves the opportunity to play before we have all the I's dotted and the T's crossed? This is what allows us in 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s to start reaching bigger than the comfort zone we've been in. The ability to play first before we have it all worked out. So those are 4 elements in starting over that I'm going to encourage you and me and all of us who are really committed to creating our second half of life as our best half to engage in this idea of starting over on a regular, consistent, daily, if not moment by moment basis. What if we got comfortable with responding? You know, people ask you all the time, how you doing? How you doing? What if we got comfortable with just saying, I'm doing great, I'm starting over? You know, we'll start seeing some reactions of people like, oh, what's the matter? What's wrong? What happened? What if it was just a way of life and we were proud of it and we lived by it? So hopefully this gives you some ideas in your own life of where you might look to see, what if something isn't broken that you could still take starting over into? What if you think something is broken that you could take starting over into? So I do encourage you to grab our Back 40 Renew All program, and would really love to engage with you in that. And thanks for joining us. And if you're on the replay, put your comments below how you've dealt with starting over, how you could incorporate starting over in a more regular way as your life of playing to play your big game in your radical, playful, passionate, purposeful Back 40. Thanks for joining us. See you again next week, and keep the comments coming.